Hey guys, and welcome to our review of Five Nights at Wario's 3. So if you watched the channel a millions of years ago, then you know that we played, that I played, Five Nights at Wario's 3. We're going to be giving our review on it today, so we're going to be breaking it down. So if you're new to the review series, these are all in sections, so there's chapters you can go to if you want to skip like what we don't like about it and what we do like about it, or if you want to skip all the way to the final rating, whatever you want to do, that's what we're here to do for you. So starting off with the game company / creator. And the game company / creator it's www.wario whatever. It's the same people that made obviously the first one and the second one and the ones beyond. They've done a pretty good job at bringing Mario's cast into the Five Nights at Freddy's world, and I think they've made some other games too. I haven't really looked into much of them, but I've heard they're pretty decent. So. Yeah, they did a really good job with 3. We're gonna get into some of the stuff I like about it and some of the stuff we don't, or that I don't. But yeah, that's who they are. So that brings us. So moving on to what is done well. I think honestly, there's a lot more content in FNAF 3. I think there's more content in FNAF 3 than there was in 1 and 2 combined, because if you recall, in FNAF 3. There was the main story mode, of course. There was an extra night, I think, and then there was 2 endings. There was the bad ending and the good ending, and then there was like an RPG mode that was pretty interesting. There was, I think, like challenges you could do. There's like all these different modes that you could do. That was pretty cool that they added all that. So there's a lot more content that was in than there was in 1 and 2, which I really appreciate. Because in 1 there was just a story mode, and then there was a custom night option. I think, well, there's 6 nights and then a custom night. That was really it. And then 2 I didn't even like to really beat that much. We already did a review on 2, so if you missed it, you should go watch it. But with 2 I didn't even get to see what was past night 6 or whatever. So yeah, but in FNAF 3 it was really awesome. All the extra content that was there. The RPG mode was very interesting and kind of fun almost, because when you're patrolling the house during the day, wherever you end up is the room you end up in for the night, and that's an awesome mechanic. So, but yeah, we're gonna get more into that type of stuff later. But moving on to what could be improved. I mean, it's not perfect, obviously. I'm trying to think though. I mean, collecting the music box to get the good ending was a little unclear. Like, once you get the bad ending, it sort of leads you on to believe that that's what you need to do. But it's definitely unclear for a first playthrough. And also, the kitchen is ridiculously hard for no reason. The kitchen was like, because it's completely dark, so you can't tell if anyone's in your room. Sometimes they would fake open the door, sometimes they wouldn't. So it was unreasonably hard for no reason. I think I still got past it because you needed to get the good ending, but it was just unreasonably hard for no reason. So I would say that. And then there was a couple ones that were too easy almost. I think the hallway, we only did that, I think, in the extra modes, but the hallway was like stupid easy. Like, because like you'd hear them coming and you'd close the door and you'd be like, well, that's it. That's literally all you had to do. So yeah, there were some rooms that were too easy, only a couple though, and then there was just the kitchen that was like unreasonably hard for no reason. So I would have improved. I would have said the difficulty skew should have been a little bit more even. And then I like the villain was like, the story was we'll get into the story later, but the story was a little unclear at parts. So I would have maybe. There's a couple times where like it just didn't make sense on like who was the bad guy and like what was happening. So that I would have improved as well, but yeah, not too many things. But moving on to any problems or glitches. I personally did not encounter any. Not that I'm aware of anyway. I didn't. It's not like we watched this entire series, but as far as I'm aware, I didn't encounter any. And for an indie game that's like a Five Nights at Freddy's, I won't say clone because I feel like that's devaluing it, but inspired by Five Nights at Freddy's at the very least game. So for one of those types of games, it was really well done in terms of that kind of stuff. But I'm sure there's glitches or something when it first came out, because I think I did the newer version, or maybe I didn't. I'm not totally sure. But either way, I didn't really encounter any, so we don't really have much to speak on with that section. Moving on to controls. So controls, if this is only a PC game, and so it's really just point and click. That's really all it is. So there's not really much controls to speak of. I think you might have been able to map W, S, and D for looking around and like pulling up the camera and stuff, but I'm not totally sure if they did that. If they did do that, that's in the 0.5 version and not the original. So, but I'm not totally sure if they've done that or not. Either if not, then it's just literally just using the mouse buttons. That's really it. So, that moves us on to graphics. The graphics are meant to look kind of creepy and meant to look. They're not Minecraft. Minecraft's blocky, but they're not like Far Cry graphics or anything. It's meant to look like a creepy game. And so for the graphics for that game was really well done because, like I said, it's meant to be creepy, and it definitely gives off a creepy vibe, especially when you're in a darker room. And the lighting shows off really well. Like I think it's the kid's bedroom or something where the lamp is on. The lighting in that room is really good. So yeah, the graphics and the lighting was really well done for this game. And yeah, so again, not much to speak on because it's really well done. So moving on to so this section I'm renaming to music/sound because just saying sound is kind of. I mean, it encompasses music, I guess, but it's a bit, to me, it was a bit unclear. So I'm calling it music/sound. So I'm separating the music from the sound effects because sometimes games have bad music but really good sound effects, or vice versa. So I'm not gonna just clump it all into one thing. So the music in this game, if I recall, there's only a couple there's only a couple tracks, but the tracks that were there were really good. Like Mario's creepy, like dun, 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 like it's like
it's the classic theme, but just on a really creepy music.
It's creepy music box. Also, it's slowed down, and I think it's distorted a little bit. So it's like they did a really good job, like messing with it and like making it sound creepy. Because you never think that song would sound creepy, but they made it work. And then you had parts where, like, I think the intro song was really good. The one that you see in the menu screen, it was like really creepy and stuff. And then the ones where you start at night, the little I wouldn't call it a song, but it's definitely a jingle. The little jingle they play was super soothing. It was super cool. You're like, oh, it's gonna be a great night, and then you just get brutally murdered. But yeah, the music in this game, there's not a lot of it, but the music that is there is really good. And then sound effects, stellar. Sound effects. This game relied on, a lot of FNAF games do, but this game relied heavily on sound effects, and the sound effects that were in it were really good. Like the door creaking open, like the jump scare sounds, of course. I mean, I think all of them share the same jump scare sound, maybe. I'm not too sure about that. Don't quote me on that one. Yeah, they were really well done. So I loved both aspects, both the music and the sound effects. The sound effects when we eventually do FNAF 4, because I am done with FNAF 4. I don't know if I publicly said that yet. So when we do FNAF 4, I think FNAF 4 had way worse sound effects. So I'm actually kind of glad that FNAF 3 had really good sound effects. So yeah, that's what I gotta say about that. Moving on to story and characters. So the characters, your classic Mario characters, except there's a couple of missions. But there's Wario and Waluigi because they're the two showrunners. It's all about Wario and Waluigi. Then you have Mario, you have Luigi, you have Peach, you have. Although I don't know if she's in this. I don't think she was in this third one. Donkey Kong, what? He was the new one.
Yoshi.
And then there's that one girl from WarioWare, but I don't know her name. She appears in the bathroom, I know. It's like that red dress girl.
Yeah, the one, that one with big hair, whatever.
Yeah. Then there's Yoshi. Then there's more, I thought, than that. I mean, there's the Wario version that's like not Wario.
Yeah,
I don't know.
He's called
Wario Bro. That's my headcanon name for him.
Yeah. I know in WarioWare he's called Wario Man.
Yeah, sure.
I just call him
but he's in that technically. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody. I don't think Peach was in it, unless she was. But I don't remember her being in it.
Maybe in certain levels, because I...
Oh, you know what? I think maybe she was. I think because... Maybe I just didn't encounter that often, but maybe she was. It'd be weird for them just to remove her.
Yeah, because not every character was used in every level, so it could have specific levels.
But yeah, I mainly just remember the main cast that I encountered. But yeah, it's your classic Mario cast. Obviously, like I said, there's a couple of missions and stuff, but... yeah, the characters are all bloody. They're like, I love the designs. Design is not really, I guess, a category, but I mean, it could fall into what's done well. The designs are fabulous. I love how Mario's like headless and he has like floating eyes in his hat. Like that's super sick. Peach, well, if she was in the game, Peach like had like I think hers are like, her eyes were gone,
dead black,
like dead black eyes. Waluigi. kind of looks normal.
Yeah, he's the most normal looking.
I mean, it's Waluigi. What do you expect?
Luigi's like really distorted.
Luigi's bloody. He's like he has crying blood, I think, if I recall.
Yeah.
And he has blood on his hands and that kind of thing. So yeah, you get the idea. And all the designs are really sick looking, and they did an amazing job redesigning the characters because obviously they're Mario characters, so they're already characters that exist. But they made them creepy, and they succeeded at that. And then the story takes off. I don't know, it's the finale timeline. So whatever, if there's a timeline out there for it, then I can't tell you that. But from what I gathered, it takes place after the first two, like canonically. But the story basically is that you're house sitting for a family that wanted the house set, except it was a trap. You can't believe it. It was a trap set by Wario and the gang to lure you into the house because they wanted to murder. Because, you know, as you do. Yeah, so it was a Tipson, the phone guy that helps you through the nights. He's like gives you tips on how to survive and all that stuff. And he was actually he was a good guy in the end because the guy that's evil is not. It's voice acted by the same person, but apparently they're not the same person. So that's why I was saying earlier why the story is confusing because when you have the same voice actor play two different parts, it's like wait a minute, that's really confusing.
Oh, I thought just like possessed him or something.
No, it's two different characters. But so yeah, either way, so that was a little confusing for that part. Yeah, the phone guy was really cool because like normally phone guy either dies or isn't helpful at all. So yeah, but in this case he was super nice. He actually helps you, and you kind of care about him a little bit when I think he's the one that actually does die in it technically, and in the bad ending he dies. Yeah, so the story is pretty good, and I didn't mention this really, but I love the fact that you get to choose what room you go to next. That was honestly the best mechanic, one of the best mechanics I've ever seen in a Five Nights at Freddy's inspired game. Like Flumpty's, I think holds the #1 spot with the vent mechanic where you close one vent but the other one remains open. That mechanics I've always loved, but the fact that you get to choose the room, you get to choose what your mechanic is for that night. I think that's an awesome addition, and I would love to see more FNAF style games or more games in general to like have that option because that's really sick. Yeah, so story of characters pretty good. Moving on to replayability. If you've been following the review series, or if you haven't, I categorize games into 3 sections when it comes to replayability. It's either limited, it's a linear game. Once you get to the end, it's the end, and that's it. Then there's the middle section where once you get to the end, there's still more to explore, but at the end of the day, it's still going to be a linear game. And once you get everything, it's going to be done after that. And then there's games like Minecraft, where you can play the games until the universe explodes. And this game I think falls under the middle one where it's like it's limited because once you beat the game, it's not over because you have the other ending, whatever ending you didn't get. You have the RPG mode, you have the challenge mode, you have the custom night. So there's a slew of other things, but once you do everything, then it's the end. So it's gonna fall into the middle section. So once you beat the game, I would say, I don't know how long it took me. I guess it depends on how good of the game you are, but I would say about a good 6 hours of playtime if you do everything, if you're trying to 100% the game. So that's pretty good content for that kind of thing. Because no one's really sitting there for 6 hours straight unless you're a speedrunner. Yeah, so that's gonna do it for that one. But moving on to personal takes. So my personal take of this game is that it was the best in the franchise. One, like obviously, usually the original is always the best. Like but I mean, even in FNAF's case, I would say FNAF 1 is obviously good, but it wasn't, to me, it's not the best. And in Final's case, I would say that remains true. My ranking would go 3, 1, 2. No, I'm forgetting 4. 3. Yeah, 3, 4. 4 was really good. 4 was pretty good. It just had some things. And then 1, 2. 2, I think, is the worst by far. 3, really good. Like I said, all the mechanics, they almost did this flawlessly. Obviously, there's things that would change, like I mentioned before. But it was really close to being a stellar, like being an all-star game of the franchise. Like I said, the mechanic where you get to choose the room, absolutely phenomenal. I love that mechanic. I want to actually see more of that in future games, whether that be from WW Wario, whatever. And then the phone guy actually being like useful and giving you actual useful tips. Instead of just being like, oh, you don't need doors, do you? Just survive, have fun. But anyway, so yeah, he's more useful. The character designs are really good. The music and the sound effects especially are amazing. And the actual scary vibe is really good because sometimes I didn't expect to be murdered when I did, so it was really good. And the fact that they designed each room to have different mechanics, outstanding. That's like, first of all, it's a lot of work, and the fact that they put in the work to do that, fabulous job. So I think it was really well done. But we're gonna move to Zachary.
Yeah, I already knew that Vanilla 3 was considered the best in the series, but yeah, that definitely stands by that. It is definitely the best in the series. It does a really good job with its creativity, being able to bring in new mechanics for every single idea. Like the kitchen, it's always dark. You know, you had to like turn on the furnace for 1 second to see someone, even though that level was really freaking hard. There was the stairway where you were at the top of the stairs and you had to close your eyes if there was anyone there, but you're blind, but you would be a little bit blind for a while because you're in a really dark stairway and your eyes would get unused to the darkness. It's really, really cool how they did that. So a little bit of stuff here and there. Obviously, the difficulty spiking was definitely different with like the easiness of the hallway up to the freaking impossibleness of that kitchen. But other than that, really pretty good game, especially for a FNAF fan game. It was pretty good.
Yeah. So Isabel, what's your personal take?
Yeah, when I watched you play this a very long time ago, I really did like how, because it's a FNAF inspired fan game, but they added their own creative ideas to make it different than just a simple FNAF fan game with just random characters and just being instead of just being way too similar to the regular franchise. They decide to take some things and use their own ideas to make it better, which I find very amazing.
Yeah, the FNAF games the FNAF fan games I appreciate are games that actually do something different and don't just copy the original formula. Because I know there's games out there that it's just rebranded but it's the same door mechanic and it's the same sort of idea. I'm not gonna be playing those because they're just rebrands essentially. But FNAF, that one we did a while back, I think it was for Spooktober. I think we did a couple of videos on it. It was like the entertainment storage or whatever. That did a lot. It kept the characters, but what it did was shift everything basically.
Yeah, and it's so many new mechanics.
We'll probably rate that game on a different day too, because that was we did more than just Spooktober for that. But either way, point is, like, I like when games do different stuff. In FNAF, every iteration did something different, even though 2's iteration wasn't that good. The second or the third one was to me the best, and then the fourth threw everything out the window, but it was still different and good. Yeah. With that said, moving on to is it worth it? It's free, so I mean, what's better than free?
Seriously, unless if it's absolute dog water.
Yeah. If we're talking about Genshin Impact, then I will say it's not worth it. But for your mental state, I would say it's not worth it. But for FNAF 3, absolutely. If you have not played the game, you can find it on GameJolt. All the links to those games, like any game I play, when you go to a video, every time it's gonna be, you have to scroll down a little bit, but it's always in the description for you to go play it. That one's on GameJolt. It's free. Go support the devs. They're doing a great job. So of course it's worth it. I think you can buy the soundtrack. I'm not sure about that. I think they gave you that for free too. But either way, the game itself is free. I know that for a fact. So go get the game. It's awesome. Like I said, 6 hours of playtime if you're trying to do 100%, or just like it can be a fun hour of gameplay if you want to just do the normal story. So absolutely, it's worth it. And that brings us to the final rating. So my final rating, I think, is a solid 8. I think I can't go to 9. It's definitely not perfect, so I can't go to 10. But I think it's a solid 8. I think because I think I gave the first one a 6 or a 7, and to me it's way better than that. I think I gave 2 like a 5.
Right, that was like a
4 or 5 or something. It's way better than that. Universe is above that one. And based on other games, I've given an 8. I haven't given many an 8. Usually it's a 7 or a 9 or something. But I haven't given the games I have given an 8. I think it's right along with them. And for FNAF fan game, pretty great actually. I loved FNAF 3 a lot, so I'm gonna go with a solid 8. But Zach, what are you going with?
Yeah, it's like going back to what you're saying about like the different levels. Like you gave 1 a 7. Like yes, this game is definitely like way better than FNAF 1. But you also just wanna, I think, take a look at what's above. Like like that, like a 9, like that would be up there with DDLC, which we just reviewed.
Well, for us, not for
yeah, for us. FNAF 3 was really good, but it's no DDLC. It's not.
Yeah, it's not revolutionary. Once you get past 8, the game has to be revolutionary. The game has to be like, this changed my life for the better. Like,
pretty much.
Because Undertale for sure changed people's lives. Like DDLC definitely made us look at games differently.
Oh,
so,
yeah. But it was still like a really, really good game, especially for a fan game. I think it's one of the best FNAF fan games that have been out there, in my personal opinion.
Definitely, that's why I'm giving it an 8. It's one of the best ones out there.
There's
There's still a couple series like Candies that I want to do because Candies was also a really good series. Yeah. So, but Isabel, what do you? So you agreeing with 8? You never
Yep,
actually.
solid 8.
All right, Isabel, what are you going with?
Yeah, I agree. For a FNAF fan game, I think this deserves a solid 8.
All right, well there you have it. So that's gonna do it for this episode. So I'm gonna say this for the next couple ones probably. But if you haven't watched the Rocket League or the DLC one at this point, we have a custom outro for this now because I want this to be more professional. Because at the end of the day, we're telling you guys, or like we're giving our opinions on a game, so people can use those opinions to judge whether or not they should get the game. For example, Security Breach was a good idea of that because I mean that one was back in the era when they were like 50 minutes long. But basically, like, if I was a newcomer to Security Breach and I heard all of these bugs, there's so many bugs, it's unplayable. But when some people had more bugs than others, sometimes it's best to get another opinion and see if you should actually get it on it. Because I think Security Breach was like $40, I thought, or maybe 20. Something
It was like, no, I think it was 40.
Something like 40. But anyway, that's an example. But like with this game, definitely I think people need to know more about it because I've seen there's obviously people that have done it, but I think there should be more exposure for. Especially the third one, if not the first one. The fourth one was good. There's almost too much stuff for the fourth one. We'll get to the fourth one next at a later date, but yeah. But that's gonna do it. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.